Hello, all of my apparent listeners. Thank you for joining to my channel. It's not a great channel, but it's made greater by you guys. Thank you. I am here to give a rebuttal because people are dumb and I don't like having to write an entire paragraph 10 times over saying the same thing. So, this particular rebuttal will be for religious fanatics. Mm. This particular religious fanatic believes that Trump is appointed by God and therefore can do no wrong. Or anything any institution does that cannot be right. It's so biased that it only makes sense to them because they are cherry picking when to apply it. Um, Essentially, I was debating a guy and he says, um, any institution is created by God. Any government exists because it was created by God. Um, Trump is not like the Antichrist because he is authentically horrible, and Obama is more like the Antichrist because he is too much of a good person, and people don't hate him enough, apparently. The way these religious people see things is that you are obligated to hate Obama if you hate Trump, which is more about false equivalency than anything. Now, I'm going to be talking to that audience in this video, okay? So, everybody else, take this as insight. One, are you guys saying that God condones sex trafficking, drug cartels, war, the Nazis, every terrorist faction to exist, Kim Jong Un, and the Russians, Putin, let's see, Muslims? Jews. I say Jews because a lot of Nazis believe in the Jewish question. You guys are basically saying that if war exists, it exists because God created it. That makes no sense at all because you guys are basically condoning murder. You guys basically believe that if somebody kills somebody, it's because God planned it. Now, I am a good believer in what is meant to be will be. I'm also a believer that people are subject to their own consequences. It goes to the whole story of the drowning man. You know, a guy drowning in the lake, and God sends him 3 votes, and he says, "No, God will save me," and then drowns to death. Asks God, "Why didn't you save me?" And it says, "Because I sent you 3 fucking votes, you fucking moron." And it's like, yeah, basically that. And, a bunch of other people who say, like, uh, Catholics and so on and so forth. I'm trying to think of as many things as I can. It's kind of hard because they're so much alike. Um, Essentially, the Catholic religion, from what I understand it to be, is people who judge others a lot. They are very elitist, very judgy, very, holier than thou. And, or no, Christianity, I bet. And when it comes to Catholics, they're more of fear of God kind of thing. God's gonna come after you if you do if you do something bad. God's, watching everything you do, and He will exact wrath upon you. Despite the fact that God is eternally merciful and generally gives people more slack than they deserve, or not. Hell exists. People go to it eternally. They burn. Why do they burn? It's punishment. Punishment for what? A lifetime of sin. Are you saying that God wanted them to go to hell, planned for their creation, that they would suffer eternity in the pits of Tartarus? I mean, you guys are absolutely fucking small-minded people. Especially if you think that Obama was a bad guy because he was a decent person. When debating this guy, he says, Obama or Trump is authentic because he gets caught in lies too much. I'd have to say this, even the devil knows scriptures, okay? Don't cherry pick shit for your own narratives. Don't think that God or that Trump is appointed by God because he's in office because you people refuse to hold him accountable for anything that he does. Although you sure as hell don't mind holding Clinton accountable, and you sure as hell don't mind giving Obama the third degree for wearing a pink shirt. And it's like, it's like debating this guy. He says Obama wasn't a saint. Nobody says he's a saint. People do critique him on things here and there. It's just, when I looked at the stats, Obama lied about 50% of the time over a quantity of approximately 500 and I'm trying to pull the numbers off the top of my head. It's like 569, I think it was, over the course of 8 years, versus the amount of time of 2,000 plus lies of Trump over the course of just 4 years. So do the math. It's about 2.5 times Obama lied in one term. Okay, and mind you, I don't remember Obama ever saying that, Mexico is sending their rapists and murderers. I don't remember Obama saying anything along the lines of, you know, the Muslims celebrating 9/11, and nothing along the lines of Trump saying our FBI institutions and our intelligence institutions are all liars, spies, out to hurt me. They're out to have a coup to undo the elections. No, 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 no. Obama's lies were more benign in the sense that they weren't inflammatory or extremely racist or causing hate and rage against particular groups of any kind. No, Obama never lied about, per se, Mitt Romney birthplace or claiming that there was a deep state, or claiming Mitt Romney or Bush wiretapped him or anything like that. Nothing so anti-America. Uh, Basically, and nothing like what Trump does. Basically says, my troops in the field, you must defend me from the government that I lead because they are trying to remove me because they are against me for reasons that they don't like me. Even though the reason why people don't like him is entirely his own fault. You evangelist fuckers have no sense of personal accountability. And it's like, I have no understanding that God gave us free will to make our own choices. And he also gave us these institutions and groups of other people to inform us and things like that. And talking to this guy, his argument is, uh, I, I, um, I suggested he talk with Bosch. Shout out to my man Bosch. You the man. You the man. Okay? You the man. Bosch is he's got a lot in political sciences and a lot in sociology. And he talks about, he basically gives credence to institutions that he's been educated from, the numbers and so on and so forth. Basically using the facts of the institutions that these other people from these evangels claim but don't adhere to. Which is essentially to say, we all accept Trump is horrible, but they're like, yeah, Trump is horrible, but because he's horrible, everyone else is just as bad. That makes no sense at all. people are accountable to their own choices. And basically, people say, like, Trump. I'm getting off subject. Bosch basically points out that Trump shouldn't be in office because he's a horrible fucking person, basically. But the thing that this person goes on to identify primarily is that his attacks towards women, which isn't exactly wrong. But then this evangelist, or whatever the fuck religion he says he is, he says that Voss, he thinks it was because of the Hollywood access tape. And it's like, yeah, that's one of them. There's also the issue of Trump bragging about going into the women's dressing room. There's also the issue of cheating on his wife. There's also the issue of pulling back women's rights wherever he can. And also lying about abortion laws to take away women's rights to abortion. There's also the issue of, about the helping the poor thing. And, oh yes, women's proper place. That's a thing, too. There was a point in Trump's presidency where he was advocating for the removal of women from office because they made men uncomfortable because men can't keep it in their pants at all. No, no, none of that, Shira shit, none of the Muslim stuff, none of, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about, people. None of that fucking, Shahira Law wearing the whole, fucking hell, what's that thing called? I always forget the name of it. No, they're like, no, women women just should stay at home and give, birth to babies and up the birth rates, right? Because, gotta get that white birth rate up, right? Yeah, fuck you all, damn it. I hate Nazis so much. So basically, this guy condones the devil, in a sense. His ideology is in defense of the devil, which is to say, in the larger scale, he is using the Bible or cherry picking phrases to defend everything bad in the world without actually acknowledging that it's bad in the world. And that God is basically the kind of guy that says, hey, guess what? This guy, was a fucking Trump? This guy? Yeah, bad guy. You see this? I sent you boats. You're drowning. I sent you boats, like media people, telling you facts. Listen to what I'm telling you. Hey, I'm telling you, don't vote for this fucker. He's evil. Vote for the other person. I'm telling you. Like, hello, God, telling you. But, nah. You guys believe women can't lead. Women aren't allowed to lead. I'm going to say this very bluntly. The Bible was written like thousands of years ago. Try to think of the state in which the world was thousands of years ago. Disease, slavery, lack of women's rights. I don't know. We got the whole slavery, mostly. Oh, stoning was another thing. Crucifixion was the worst of it. I mean, I am honestly, I'm just getting my coffee. I can't think of everything on top of my head. But, you guys basically say, hey, if the world is on fire, great! That is what God wanted. But, if the world is doing great, and there are people who are doing right, those people are evil. Because they are too good, doing too right, doing too much. You people are insane! Absolutely sympathy for the devil, fire and brimstone, out of your mind clown show. Or better yet, clown world. Dun dun dun. Anyways. Um, the one thing that I know most of all is that God didn't write the Bible. God enlisted some people to write the Bible, and some people added to the Bible. Bunch of priests and popes and whatnot decided what to put in and what not to, the restricted texts, which is basically the worst parts of the Bible. You get to the demonology part about the devil's presence and things, it gets pretty damn dark. Like, for instance, the most predominant one being, oh, you're gonna love this. Who was the devil? Can you tell me? Before he fell. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. If you guessed an angel of the Lord, you are right. Which basically goes to say, hey, guess what? Angels are just as fallible as the fallen are, which fallen pagans and so on and so forth. Yeah. It's beautiful. I love that little piece of irony. It also goes with the whole Satan took a third of the host thing. It basically goes to say that even angels are subject to the worst of influences. Sorry to say, but, God gave angels free will too. And the only difference between angels and fallen, or pagans like us, is, one, our lifespan, and two, our wisdom. I mean, that's pretty much it. And the only thing they can do is, influence us, and we can only hope to God that what they do to influence us is in accordance to what the devil, I almost said that. I almost said the wrong thing. Is in accordance to what God wants and not the devil. But you have to also understand that we may or may not recognize what it is that the angels want, or God wants, or the devil wants, or anything like that, because in the sense, the devil knows scriptures, and the devil cherry picks the fuck out of it, just like you people do, and you have no understanding of that whatsoever. I'm sorry to say, but that's just the truth of things. I'm gonna try and keep this video below a gig because the last one I tried to upload is taking 2 days. And that was 2 gigs simply because its resolution was so high. But yeah, I think I made my point painfully clear that even the devil knows scriptures. And God will basically and did basically yell at all of you saying that Trump was a horrible person. And you guys seem to think like, hey, we're gonna vote for Trump anyways. He's a great guy. And just a little update on things that are recent. Right-wingers are currently saying that the embassy was attacked first before we bombed that general. And that's always fun because they're trying to flip the chain of events backwards. And doing sympathy for the devil's shit, which is something they're well known for doing. People do not hate Obama. Like, when it came to like the other guy earlier, he was talking like, what do leftists think of Bill Clinton and the affair? I do know that you religious folks do condone affairs quite a bit, infidelity, if you support Trump, because he did cheat on his wife multiple times. His current wife was a person he cheated on his previous wife with. And I know you guys don't really care much about family or actual, love of any kind, because if you did, you might actually give a shit about, this guy going through multiple relationships, replacing old people with younger people, or a model of sorts, a slight of sorts. Yeah. And but I will say that no leftist has ever defended Bill Clinton's infidelity, but they have said he didn't deserve to be impeached for it, mainly because it wasn't a problem of the state. And that's about it. I mean, it's not like Trump who stole tax dollars from vets, or Trump who used tax dollars to pay off his affairs, to hush money. Or, it wasn't like leveraging tax dollars to get blackmail material or fabricated dirt on a political opponent. I know you guys say he cares about corruption, which basically I have to ask you. If he did, why did he only want a broadcast of the investigation and not an actual investigation? Why did he want to coordinate with his personal attorney instead of Department of State or uh, directors, in a sense, or other departments in the government? He wanted to use his personal attorney, his personal traitor, treasonous AG Barr, and I say treasonous because this guy lied to the public, saying that the Mueller report exonerated Trump when it didn't, and tried to withhold evidence from the whistleblower complaint because he didn't take it to. They didn't give it to the Congress like they're supposed to, and then they try to hold up everything. Um, no, these guys who simply violate their oaths of office like that should be removed from office and arrested and incarcerated. I do believe it's a felony to betray your oath of office and what's that word I'm looking for? I think either forfeit or betray your congressionally appointed duties to office, or pushing propaganda. Uh, Treasonous activities like working for the Russians, Argo, the GOP pushing Russian propaganda, even though they're like, hey, I can't say something on the behalf of a certain topic, but I will talk about, the ifs, ands, and buts. No, Obama wasn't a saint, we'll say that much, nobody's a saint and all that stuff. People make mistakes. But I will say that only the devil will commit mass genocide and say what government hasn't. Only the devil will say you cannot cast, you cannot exact justice onto me, for I am just as sinful as you are. No, I mean, there is a point of accountability, there is a point of, justice and, accountability. Otherwise, you guys on the religious side are basically saying, let the felons out, let the murderers out, let the pedophiles, let the bad hombres out, to appropriate some language. And you don't give a fuck. No fucks given. You do not care. And yeah, you people make me sick. You are basically the devil reciting scriptures for the sake of defending the work of other devils, and trying to attack God by saying that God appointed bad people and ordered them to do bad things. Essentially, it's like Lucifer from Supernatural. He's like, hey, me, evil? Come on, God created me. Now, if God created me, then it's God's fault that I'm like this. You know? It's God's fault that I am. We should go against God, because if you don't want evil in the world, blame Dad, blame the Father, blame God. That's what you guys are. Watch Supernatural. It's pretty damn. You guys are the devil, and a stereotypical one from like a best exemplified of Lucifer from Supernatural. Watch that series. It's a great series. I'm already about my time. Anyways, so much for keeping the file short.